is the leader of the Utah State defense. He's been healthy most of the year and playing well. On the other side of it, BYU has had some people step up. Corey Cook, a defensive back, has played very well lately, but they're without Todd Herget, they're without Hall, they're without Ted Dawson. Their linebackers are depleted, their defensive backs have struggled, so they're in a little bit of trouble.
Could be an exciting game and a historical affair. We'll be back with the kickoff right after this.
What tire store gives you a quality 50,000-mile Kelly tire at a generic tire price? Now that's a good deal on a great tire.
Grandma said, CCMI Tires, your auto center.
What tire store gives you a preferred customer card complete with its 10 free services, including free flat repair and tire rebalancing?
Grandma said, CCMI Tires, your auto center.
Ambassador Pizza, made with only the freshest ingredients.
Wow! For a short time only, you can buy a large 2-item pizza from Ambassador for only $6.99 or 2 for $12.99 delivered. I can't believe it.
From scratch daily, and it's even delivered. Ambassador Pizza, the fresh alternative in delivered pizza.
Wasatch Satellite has an alternative to throwing your money away by renting cable TV. Buy a top-of-the-line EchoStar 710 satellite system for less. An all-in-one receiver, descrambler, dish mover, on-screen graphics, stereo sound, and much more. Choose from thousands of sporting events, movies, Broadway shows, children's programs. Over 200 channels not available on cable TV. Order your EchoStar 710 for only $17.50 for $37 down and $37 per month. Call 269-8282 now. Wasatch Satellite, making satellite systems affordable legally.
Client satisfaction and service are important elements in any organization, but at Robert DeBry & Associates, they are the #1 priority. Bob DeBry asked his clients to fill out a little survey. Question number 5 is interesting. It says, would you recommend our firm to your friends? Out of 530 surveys, over 98% said yes, they would recommend Robert J. DeBry & Associates. All Bob DeBry said was, we better get to work on that other 2%.
Back live at Romney Stadium in Logan, Utah. The Aggies have just made their thunderous entrance into the stadium here. 34 degrees is the game time temperature. And we'll get to a high of about 50 before the afternoon's over. Take a look at the series. BYU just one game ahead. Might be surprising to some.
But they've won the last 10 to pull ahead, as they have, and it's been their series. They've won 16 of the last 18. It's interesting, Lavelle Edwards, as the head coach, lost his first 3 games against his alma mater and has been 16-2 since then. And let me say one thing to redeem myself. I said on our little pregame cut a moment ago, the quarterback in that memorable 1980 game was Bryce Higbee. Bryce Higbee's a redshirt or a walk-on quarterback at Utah State from American Fork. Royce Bybee was the guy I was talking about that filled in for McMahon. So sorry, Royce.
There we go. Reed, it is a little cold out there. Getting set for the kickoff. Joe Herrick out to kick for the Cougars, and back as deep as James Dye for Utah State. The fans have been rather anxious getting into this game, and there's the kick, and we're underway here in Logan. And it does roll out of bounds, and we open up with a penalty. That might not be a good sign for things to come.
Utah State, Carlton, decided when they won the toss to start the game to receive the ball. And I know that you talked to Lavelle Edwards about their strategy, and he said he was kind of leaning toward deferring to the second half.
That's always been his philosophy.
Ball replaced on the 35-yard line. First down.
We want to be more aggressive. We want the ball now and get going on offense.
In fact, Lavelle said that when the rule was first instated that he had the choice for the first 3 years, that's what he chose all the time. And then lately, he's been a little bit more philosophical about it. I asked him if he had the confidence in his defense to put them on the field first, and he said he did. As it ended up, he's doing so anyway. 1st and 10, balls at the 35. Calvillo looks and finds Tony Jenkins, a gain of about 5 yards on the play. Vic Tarleton and Jack DeMoody with the tackle.
I was watching to see how the BYU defensive play it, and any stunning this time. They will use that a little bit, not a lot. They didn't that time. They pretty well played straight, and Calvillo had a time on a short drop.
And there are a lot of holes in the BYU defense. We're talking about some injuries, and we'll get into that as the game progresses. Second down, 5 yards to go. Kevin Alexander in the game. Kind of a long cadence. We give the Profel Greer up the middle, gets about a yard. Swarmed by Greg Pitts, big number 99. He's out of Provo. Played at Tentview High School.
Pitts is being blocked by number 57 for Utah State, Jason Mon, and the Aggies' interior defensive blockers showed a little bit of a pass block look that time, and then the handoff went right up the middle for about a yard.
There are quite a few changes on defense as both Todd Herget and Nathan Hall are out to the linebacking position, creating some last-minute scurrying by the coaching staff. Third down, 4 yards to go. Ball is at the 41-yard line. Calvillo back, looking and goes to the big man, Aubrey Thompson. He gets the first down yardage about the 47-yard line before he is knocked out of bounds. Done so by John Pollock, defensive back for BYU.
Some nice pressure coming from the left side of the BYU defensive front. Andrew Nash, it appeared, was the guy in there that time.
First and 10. Aggies knocking on the door of Cougar territory here as they get set to cross midfield. Fake to Greer. Calvillo gunning downfield and just throws it away. There was nobody within about 15 yards of that pass.
Toward the end of that pass route, number 81 for Utah State, Cody McMahon, seemed to be showing a little bit of hesitation and sort of gave up on the pass, and maybe that's because he knew he was covered well enough that Calvillo would have to throw it away.
Anthony Calvillo, as you take a look at his numbers, 8 interceptions on the year, 9 touchdowns. He's thrown quite a bit, over 2,000 yards so far in this season, and he is 6th in the nation in total offense. Brings up second down, 10 yards to go. Also on the 47-yard line, 2 men wide to the right. That's Cody McMahon and Mike Lee. And Calvillo has the ball knocked loose and falls on it at the 41-yard line. That was Randy Brock.
Yeah, Brock coming in from the left side, the big junior out of Rexburg, Idaho. And Jim Zorn told us this week, the Aggie offensive coordinator, he really likes the play of Brock and Gomes, but even more so Brock. And there was some pressure there by Randy Brock.
Brock leads the team in quarterback hurries. He's got 7 so far on the year, and that was a key hurry right there, forcing the fumble and making Calvillo fall on it. Brings up third down and 15 to go. Ball's back at the 42-yard line. Whistles are blowing, and Calvillo takes a soft hit. And a little bit of excitement there. Randy Brock involved.
Well, Jed DeVries, number 75, and Jason Mon, 57, the 2 senior tackles, want to make sure their quarterback is protected even after the play's over, and they didn't like that little extra activity there.
Penalty looks to be a delay of game.
On the offense.
That's the call. Move them back another 5 yards.
Last year against BYU, Calvillo threw for 266 yards. Aggies pretty well moved the ball up and down the field last year. He threw 57 passes, but because the running game wasn't working, which is the story every year it seems like for the Aggies against BYU, Utah State never crossed the goal line after the field.
Third down and 20. Calvillo needs a long pass and guns it. Finds Tony Jenkins up the middle. He gets to the 37-yard line in BYU territory. He's tackled by Patrick Mitchell and Corey Cook. A big pass play keeps the drive alive and puts him into Cougar territory.
As a rule, now BYU will play what we call bracketing defense with the 2 DBs on a wide receiver. The Aggies were expecting Jenkins to be double-teamed a lot. Here's Calvillo dropping back, looking to his left. Jenkins is coming back from the sideline over the middle and makes the catch. And again, he was bracketed between 2 defensive backs, and Calvillo found him for a nice gain.
Profel Greer in the backfield. Mike Lee and McMahon up to the top, and nothing doing. In fact, a loss of about a yard. That's Gomes and Matt Redden, who is filling in at defensive end today, as Travis Hall has moved to the linebacking position, filling in one of the gaps there.
They've made a lot of shifts with Todd Herget out. There's Jenkins, who made the catch a moment ago. Todd Herget's gone. Nathan Hall's gone. Ted Dawson got hurt this week with a stinger in practice. He's out. They've moved Hall to the place where Dawson would have been, and Redden's now at Hall's spot at defensive end.
Coach Edwards is impressed with Travis Hall's speed, and that's why he was able to move him back to the linebacking core. That's complete to Thompson. And dragging him down is Jack Mooney, number 3. The junior out of Hawaii. He was a dancer at the Polynesian Culture Center down in Hawaii.
Well, he was step for step that time.
That's a nice
Here's the
look.
replay. A little bit of pressure from Travis Hall, so Calvillo gets rid of it quickly to Aubrey Thompson. DeMooney's right there. A littler defensive back, not as heavy as Thompson, but doing a nice job.
Brings up 3rd down, 6 yards to go. Ball's on the 33-yard line of BYU. 3 men wide to the right. For Utah State, and Calvillo goes to the left and finds Thompson again. Had 1 man to beat there, gets close to 1st down yardage. Again, it was DeMooney with the stop.
Well, that time, Shane Muirbrook pretty much came right up the middle. Now, he's one of the linebackers. He plays the middle linebacker. Here's a freshman out of Norco, California, and he made Calvillo get rid of that ball in a hurry. Here's Anthony, and you may see Muirbrook coming just, there he is, 46, but he got it off to Thompson just in time.
They'll bring in the chains to mark this one from all the way across the field. There's a look at Aubrey, 6'3", 230 pounds. 29 receptions on the year. Last year he led all the Big West tight ends in both receptions and touchdowns. He's got two touchdowns so far this year.
With the way BYU is approaching this game defensively, the Aggies were expecting Aubrey Thompson to have a lot of one-on-one opportunities against the linebackers, and that's happened, and they've gone to him 2 or 3 times already.
And he did plunge ahead for the 1st down yardage. You might have heard the crowd erupt behind us. So it's 1st and 10, balls on the 27-yard line. Calvillo gets back to the huddle with the play.
He's Aubrey does already have more catches in this game than he did last year against BYU in the 30-9 loss.
McMahon, and that's Lee at the top of your screen, and Greer in the backfield. To give to Greer up the middle, he runs into traffic and dropped the ball.
BYU's got it.
That was Greg Pitts evidently recovering the fumble there. That's his first fumble recovery of the season. And it stops what had been a pretty successful drive for Utah State.
Well, now, I hate to bring this up so early in the game, but this is a lot of what happened last year against BYU. The Aggies had upwards of 400 yards of total offense, but never got across the goal line. They had to go with the field goals by Sean Jones for their points.
Now, this will be our first look at John Walsh. Had a coming-out party last week. We'll talk about that as he gives to Willis around the right side and is tripped up. Tripped up by number 18, Tyrone Trimble.
Well, Trimble was a standout last week against UNLV. He was Charlie Weatherby's guest at all the media gatherings this week, and he may have another trip or two to Salt Lake if he keeps up with that. He was coming on strong from that far side. Made a nice stop on Willis.
The second leading tackler here on this Utah State team. It's kind of deceptive, though, because that was his 45th tackle of the season. Jermaine Younger leads the team with 81. 2nd down, 14 yards to go on the 4-yard loss by Willis. Walsh barking out some orders to his left side. Give to Willis again, this time around the left side. He's got a little bit of a gap and gets back a couple of yards. Oh, there's a fumble. And it's Utah State ball. Pratt Lyons in on the fumble causing. Knocks the ball loose. Utah State gets the ball right back about where they lost it from. Caught us all off guard.
Here's the play now. Willis is going. Watch 51. Younger's going to come in the picture here in just a minute, trailing the play. Willis runs into the defensive back Toomer, and I think the ball squirts loose. Lyons jumps on it. There's Younger. This is what happened against UCLA. They wanted to establish a running game early. Willis fumbled early, and the next 17 BYU plays were passing plays. They've got to, they feel, establish the running game, but you can't when you're fumbling the ball.
Mike Lee at the top of your screen. Looks and finds Aubrey again. Gets about 2 yards out of it. He's tackled by Travis Hall. There's a look at Aubrey, and they seem to be establishing him in the early goings of this game as one of the go-to men. Boy, just barely got that jersey with his right hand. That's something that will elude you by the time the game ends, and fatigue starts to set in. Those grips on those jerseys aren't as tight. 2nd down, 7 yards to go. Calvillo looking again, gunning, and overthrows his intended receiver. That was Mike Lee. Frank Christensen on coverage there. There's a flag on the play.
Lee is the guy who comes into this game with numbers almost identical to Dredge for BYU. the same number of catches. I think they're tied for 6th in the nation, but Dredge has a lot more yards.
Dredge is the big play guy for BYU, and there is no flag. There's a, I don't know if you can see it on about the 19-yard line. There's a hot spot there. Looks like a flag. We'll have to avoid that for the rest of the game. 3rd down, 7 yards to go. Ball's on the 22-yard line. That's Greer in motion to the bottom of your screen. Coverage by Randy Brock over it, and there's Aubrey Thompson, drops it. Just turned around. That was Pollock again with coverage for BYU.
Well, Aubrey was behind the coverage. The pass was not a pinpoint one, and he had to turn around, and it's hard to keep your hands stationary and grab the ball at the same time. Calvillo dropping back, a little pressure from the outside from Brock again, and Steve Thompson has to turn to face Calvillo, and that's tough to hold on to the ball in that situation.
Brings up a field goal try here. This would be about a 40-yarder, which would match Nate Moriali's long of the season.
That was against Baylor. Todd Wilson holding.
Kick is up, and it's good. The Aggies draw first blood here as they put the first couple of points on the board. The Aggies 3, BYU 0 here in the early going. Still in the first quarter. Back in a moment right after this.
Luxury car for the 90s, the one that represents today's most modern design and technology.
Back in Logan, Utah, Utah State has jumped on the board first with a field goal, a 40-yard attempt by Nate Moriali. And they're set to kick off now. That's Micah Knorr doing the kicking for Utah State. A high kick at about the 10-yard line. And a punishing blow at about the 21.
That was Johnny Williams, who's a backup linebacker for Utah State, a special teams player mostly, rarely plays on scrimmage downs.
And stops Steve Christensen as we'll take another look here.
Watch this at about the 21 or 2-yard line. Wow. Number 49, Williams, coming in to make the stop.
And he's the number 8 in the NCAA in kickoff returns. He averages nearly 28 yards a return. 1st and 10, balls at the 21.5-yard line, we'll say.
Now let's see what the BYU attitude is again with the rushing game this time.
It's complete to Christensen at about the 25-yard line. A pickup of about 4 on the play. Damon Smith brought him down.
A little bit of pressure from the outside from number 96, Scott Mawala, but the Aggies didn't have anything fancy going on that time, just the straight rush.
There's a look at the scoring drive. Just 4 plays there.
And the key play, actually, was the fact that Willis fumbled the ball and gave it to him.
Couple of turnovers has turned into 3 points. Now the Aggies were driving before their turnover as well. Kind of a wash. Grades in motion to the bottom of your screen. Looks and finds Doman to the left side. He gets to the 36-yard line before he's brought down. Travis Scow with the stop. Utah State, that's a 1st down for BYU.
Aggies had a little bit of a twist going on with their defensive linemen, one going outside Lions, one going inside Mawala, but it didn't help. No pressure on the inside, and Walsh gets the pass off, as you see.
Here's a look at Bryce Doman out of Salt Lake City. An older brother play for BYU.
Walsh seems to be changing the play, but again, it looks like they've jumped the running game for a minute or two. They're throwing the ball.
Incomplete, intended for Drage. That was where the confusion was. Damon Smith at the last minute dropped off coverage and then jumped right back on before the snap. Just a little bit over the head of Drage.
Again, Dredge with 49 catches, the same amount of catches as Mike Lee for Utah State, but he averages nearly 17 yards a catch, which is a bunch. Lee with 49 catches averages 10 yards a catch, so you can see how productive Dredge is for BYU.
2nd down, 10 yards to go. Ball's on the 36-yard line of BYU. That's John Walsh out of the shotgun. Trying to elude, that's Dave Balls. And it's complete to Tim Nowatzki. Nowatzki down to about the 38-yard line of Utah State as the Cougars now move into Aggie territory.
Well, that was a great play by Nowatzki to dive. I thought he might have been out of bounds, but he was all stretched out. Here you see Walsh out of the shotgun, and he looks to the left. He's flushed out a little bit under the pressure from Ball. So on the run, he throws 30 or 40 yards downfield. And here's the stretch, and we didn't see him actually catch it, but he was in bounds. It's a good call by the official.
Look at Tim Nowatzki. Caught his first touchdown pass about 30 miles from his home near Notre Dame, Michigan City, Indiana. First and 10. Ball's on the 38-yard line to give to Willis. Willis gets to about the 35-yard line, tackled by number 21, Michael Coe.
At this point, Carlton, Utah State defensively is playing it absolutely straight. Maybe a twist or two with the defensive lineman, but nobody's blitzing right now. Here's a little bit of a draw play out of the shotgun, and Willis gets a little bit of running room. That play started at 38, so he got to 3 yards.
Going to try to keep Willis from getting his speed. He was the first Cougar rusher to go for over 1,000 yards in 20 years last year. He just eclipsed the 1,000-yard mark in the last game. Second down, 7 yards to go. Walsh out of the shotgun again. It's batted down and up for grabs. And number 22 intercepts it. That's Donald Toomer, his second interception of the year, as he falls down on about the 30-yard line.
I don't know who tipped it in the middle. It could have been Pratt Lyons. It could have been Danielle Tapman, number 96. Here's Walsh dropping back. Pressure from the outside. Might have been Mawala or Tapman when he threw it, actually. It was hard to tell, but there you see Toomer coming up with it. The leader in the Big West in interceptions last year. Another look at it. Walsh, well, there's an interior man. I think it might have even been Balls now that I look at it again, slapping it up in the air.
Well, we've seen more turnovers in the first about 7 minutes of this game than I thought we'd see, but 6 minutes, 49 seconds left here in the first quarter. That's Greer moving up close to the line. First and 10. Wide open was Greer, and he dropped the ball. A little bit high, but got both hands on it. That was catchable.
Well, he had 9 catches coming into the game, so he's been through this before.
Ophel Greer is one of the exciting surprises here for Utah State this season.
Let's give a little credit where credit's due now. David Balls officially gets credit for the deflection on the pass on the play that led to the interception.
Give to Greer around the left side. Got a little bit of room using that speed. Only gets about 2 yards. Mitchell and DeMooney with a stop for BYU.
I was watching Carlton Calvillo on that play, and I remember talking to Jim Zorn, the offensive coordinator this week for Utah State, and he said the last couple of games going into UNLV, Anthony had been watching the game, and I said, what does that mean? He said, well, he would hand off to a running back and watch the play develop. His job is to carry out his play because if he's still got the ball. This game, he's done that a couple of times. He did it on that play, although it didn't mean anything to Greer because it didn't work. But those things pay off maybe a little later on.
And it's kind of hard not to want to watch Greer when he gets the ball. He's been that exciting, 209 yards last week against UNLV. Calvillo looking and overthrows Tony Jenkins. Jenkins was about 2 yards past the first down marker, but it does bring up a 4th down. Calvillo has missed the last 4 attempts passing. Kind of in a funk right now, as you say. Well, back to punt, Micah Knorr. He is averaging just over 35 yards a punt. And receiving for BYU is Eric Drage. Dangerous receiver, dangerous returner. Drage moving back, a nice punt. Called one of those short fair catches. It's almost like he could get away with it if he didn't want to.
That was that is the many games I've seen. I haven't seen all Utah State's games, and that's as good a punt as Knorr's had this year, I believe. It's put BYU in fairly poor field position. A nice high coverable punt.
We're going to take a break right now with 5 minutes, 54 seconds left in the first quarter. Score is still Aggies 3, BYU 0. You're watching Aggie football on KJAZ 14.
At Cypress Credit Union, we believe you should have fun.
To me, this is fun. To them, I'm worth a loan.
And we believe in helping you get ahead.
They pre-approved my loan before I started shopping.
With a quick response, usually within a day.
We've gotten our loans from them for years.
They know us and can tailor a payment plan that fits our needs.
Cypress Credit Union. We'll show you a better way.
There's a good reason why so many Utah Honda owners are trading in their old Hondas for the new Accord. Maybe you should drive one today and find out why. Are you still looking at the new Honda Accord from the outside? Or have you been to one of your Utah Honda dealers to drive one?
We're back at Logan, Utah. BYU set to take over 1st and 10 on their own 18-yard line. So look at John Walsh.
You mentioned during the break about the turnovers, and we've had 2 or 3 already. Walsh had not thrown an interception the last 2 games until this game today.
That was his 6th on the year. That's Willis up the middle, gain of about 2. Brought down by Dave Balls, big number 91. Out of Ogden, Utah, played his high school ball at Bonneville High School.
See, at some point, BYU knows they've got to make the Aggies respect somewhat their running game to suck them in on those runs and then create some openings for Walsh.
That was one of the keys that Lavelle talked about last evening. Was he's been trying to run the ball all season long, and if he can, feels like if he can open his running game up, he can be successful today. 2nd down, 8 yards to go. Walsh out of the shotgun. Looking and firing to Doman, who trips himself up on about the 26-yard line. And pick up of about 5 or 6 yards.
It was Doman on the play coming from the outside. This is Walsh dropping back. And again, it looked like with the extra defensive backs that Utah State's got in there, that Walsh finds Doman after a little bit of pressure. Now you see Doman going down the field, and then he cuts across this way. They've carried one deep back out with the pattern that way and created an opening over the middle for Doman.
And we've got a timeout on the field as BYU calls timeout. They saw something they didn't like. It was 3rd and 3. Ball's on the 25-yard line. Let's look at the cool Aggie faithful. The cold Aggie faithful. 3-0. Back in a moment right after this.
Of course you don't sell more cars or trucks than anyone else without giving great deals. But you know, and at Gene Harvey Chevrolet Geo, we know there's more to it than that. Since 1957, we've been here with award-winning service and the Gene Harvey neighborly way of doing business. Folks around here have always known that if it has our name on it, you have our word on it.
To be your first choice for many reasons. Gene Harvey Chevrolet Geo.
An American Ford.
Welcome to the revolution.
Revolution?
Ice draft from Budweiser.
Ice?
It's ice brewed. Chilled below freezing until ice crystals form, then cold filtered. Taste the future of draft beer. Ice draft.
I don't know if anybody can hear me. I don't think anybody can. 4 minutes, 39 seconds left in the first quarter. Aggies 3-0 over BYU as they approach the line facing a 3rd and 3 situation. Ball's on the 25-yard line. That's Drage in motion to the bottom of your screen. Complete to Doman, whose knee hit the ground. The official says the knee hit the ground. No more yards after that point. It'll look to be about half a yard to a yard shy of first down yardage. Now, one of the new faces that we're seeing in the backfield, you'll see Chad Knowles, number 21. He is filling in for Kalen Hall. We understand Kalen is injured. Let's look at the play again. Let's see if we can see the knee hit.
Right as he catches it, really, as Michael Coe comes over, number 21, to make the stop, and they're going to measure to see if where the knee went down was enough for the first down.
That's close, and it looks to be...
Well, it couldn't be any closer.
Yeah. Well, you don't get much closer than that. It's one of those times when you wonder if that's exactly where the knee hit, or 2 inches above or 2 inches below. Brings up 4th down, and you saw how long to go. Again, Kalen Hall, we have early reports, did not press out before the game today. And so that further decimates what's kind of a beleaguered BYU team here. They enter in with just Jamal Willis as a regular starter. We'll see Steve Christensen, number 25, and number 21, Chad Knowles, rotating in and out.
Well, here you've got a guy, Willis, 520 yards as a freshman, 1,090 as a sophomore. You know he's good. He's just been hurt most of the year. It's the case with Hall as well.
Big play in the drive, going for it. 4th and 1. That's Chad Lewis in motion to the top of the screen, and there up the middle and for first down yardage is Jamal Willis.
Just a simple little dive play, and that's exactly what they needed. And I'll tell you, the people on the left side there, probably Edwards and Empey, and those people on the left side of the offensive line cleared a wide hole. Somebody tripped Willis up, but he had plenty of room for the first down.
A nice diversionary tactic there as Chad Lewis, number 96, moved up to the other side. Willis has 6 yards so far in the early going. Not much for the numbers of runs that he's had. It's about 6 attempts. 1st and 10, ball's on the 30-yard line. There's Willis around the right side, and he is trapped up. The ball is loose. The ball is loose. It looked like that was Jermaine Younger in there creating the contact.
They cleared a path for Willis, although the Aggies were congesting it, but he had a little bit of room, and then with time, here comes Younger, and I think he did knife in there, maybe get a fist in that thing and knock it away, and a BYU offensive lineman jumped on it.
It was either Empey or Edwards when they were falling on the ball. 2nd down, 13 yards to go. Ball's on the 27-yard line. Walsh out of the shotgun. Checking off receivers, and he's got a man open deep. And Willis with a one-hand grab gets it to the 10-yard line. He'll score. Touchdown, BYU. What an amazing catch by Jamal Willis. It looked to be overthrown, and Willis batted it with one hand and caught it with the other. There's 72 yards on the play. Look at that catch.
We get a chance to look at that from the end zone camera.
And what a punishing hit there, as Jermaine Younger was actually gaining ground on Jamal Willis. That's Younger, the linebacker. Take a look at Willis there, 220 pounds, 6'3", out of Las Vegas, Nevada. And that's going to be on the highlight reels for a little while to come. Joe Herrick on for the extra point. Just over 3 minutes left here in the first quarter.
He just came right out of the backfield and was one-on-one with a linebacker. We might get a look at that after the break, possibly.
And the kick is good. BYU jumps out to a lead 7-3 here with just over 3 minutes left. As Herrick is 26th PAT on the year. He's only missed 3. Lots to celebrate here in the early going for BYU. Let's see if we can get a look at that play again. There it is.
There you see Willis. He just cleared out of the backfield, and there he is in a foot race with Jermaine Younger. He juggled the ball for a minute, but by then he was out front. Look at Younger get wiped out by a block across the field. A big play. We were talking to Dick Bumpus, the defensive coordinator for the Aggies. He said, it's been our history this year. We'll stop somebody for 15 plays, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the big play, and it beats us.
We'll go back to several games and pinpoint a couple of those. Steve Christensen, he was the guy that laid down that block that took Younger out of the rest of that play. Let's look at the scoring drive. 82 yards, 72-yard touchdown pass from Walsh to Willis. That's Walsh's 17th touchdown pass of the season. And we're set for the kickoff again. Deep for the Aggies. That's number 6, James Dye. He averages nearly 20 yards a return. Dye takes it at the goal line, and he'll continue on. Shooting a little gap there if he can keep his balance. Ends up falling backwards at about the 25-yard line. Nice return.
Interesting thing with the Aggie special teams is that Dye, you can see, obviously very quick and speedy, but when he's been out or been hurt and unable to return kicks, Tony Jenkins, the veteran wide receiver, comes in. He's returned 9 of them for almost 25 yards of return. He's 21st in the nation.
There's a look at James Dye, 5'9", 155 out of Oakland, California. Calvillo going deep. He's got McMahon open. McMahon about the 22-yard line. Tackled by number 10, Vic Carlton. And the Aggies strike right back. It's about a 52-yarder right there.
Here's the end zone shot of it. They're clearing it back over the middle and coming long down the sideline. We can't see him right now. There in the picture is McMahon making the catch, and he's on his way. Again, this is starting to unfold like that game we talked about in 1980 where both teams had all those yards, Galliano and McMahon in a battle.
I don't think either one of these teams have the letter D in their title, Utah State or BYU. 53-yard reception, as you saw for McMahon. The give to James Dye, looking for some room, changes directions, comes around to the right side, and gets into about the 18-yard line. Tackled by number 90, Lenny Gomes for BYU.
Dye was not available last week to the Aggies, and that's opened the door, in fact, the last couple of weeks for two outstanding games for Greer. Here you see James to the left, changing directions back this way, gets away from Pitts there, and starts around the end, dodges another Cougar, and then two more are there to make the stop inside the 20.
Pickup of about 5 on the play. Brings up second down, 5 yards to go. Calvillo rolling to his left. Looks back across the field and finds Aubrey Thompson. He can outrun Lenny Gomes. He might have a touchdown. And he does. Touchdown, Aubrey Thompson.
This is an 18-yard touchdown pass on a tight end screen. The tight end is right there. You'll see that in just a moment. This is Thompson. I don't know if you'll see him in the picture when Calvillo starts back this way, but he's going to set up blocking, and now he's out of our picture. Calvillo now turns, and he's going to fire down to his tight end. The screen is set up, and Thompson's on his way at the 20, and he goes on in. There with a block is Jed DeVries.
And on for the extra point here with just inside of 2 minutes left in the first quarter. We've already got some points on the board. The kick is up, and it's good. Aggies retake the lead, 10-7. Here in the early going, that was Thompson, his 5th catch of the day. He's already got 38 yards and a touchdown here in the early going. The fans, that's up in the nosebleed section, but they're happy. Happy Aggies. Well, BYU traditionally allows a few points in the first quarter, but that's not really that much different.
This is Aubrey Thompson, who came to Utah State as a wide receiver, and he has that kind of speed. He's added some bulk to become a tight end, and you see him powering himself into the end zone after that toss screen all the way across the field by Calvillo. Well-conceived play, and it really had BYU's defense strung out.
Came from all the way across the country to play ball here. He's from Atlanta, Georgia. Well, so far the fans are getting what they thought they would, and that's some scoring as we take a look at the drive here. 75 yards in just 3 plays. The big 53-yarder to Cody McMahon, and then capped off with the 18-yard touchdown reception for Aubrey Thompson, the tight end. Tim Nowatzki and Tyler Anderson deep for BYU. Receive the kick. Tyler Anderson is a speedy one. He averages 26.6 yards a return. He takes it on the 2-yard line. So he just got that speed and pushed it right on up to the 25-yard line before he's knocked down.
Chandel Smoot, who's a special teams player, number 38, and number 31, Sean Coleman, combined simultaneously to finally make the stop. That was a nice coverage play by the Aggies.
Entering BYU's huddle there. There's number 25, Steve Christensen. Number 88, the tight end, Terrence Salioni, coming in. Both quarterbacks have already thrown for 121 yards here in the early going. Walsh out of the shotgun, possibly looking for a little bit more. Give to Willis. Shoots a little gap and moves ahead about 8 yards to the 33-yard line before he's tackled by Michael Coe and Tyrone Trimble for Utah State. BYU has not abandoned its running game yet.
Well, and the way it's looked on a couple of plays, they shouldn't. I think maybe Simmons and Pilgrim and Herring on that right side cleared out the backup defensive tackle Matt Hawk quite nicely, and that allowed Willis some extra yards.
Got about a minute and 18 seconds left here in the early going. Two men in motion, both to the left side. Walsh barking out some orders. Into the play at the scrimmage. That's Jermaine Younger beckoning for the crowd to raise its volume. Walsh just gets the ball away and throws it out of bounds.
Well, that time from the outside, Matt Hawk, who just got beat on the last play. There's Charlie Weatherby. He's not very happy about something. Hawk came with pressure from the outside and forced Walsh to hurry the throw to the sideline and out of bounds. Charlie's really upset, obviously.
Seems like every time the opposing quarterback in an away stadium starts barking out some audible signals, that's the signal for the fans to really lift up their voices. And that's what Younger was trying to get the fans to do here.
I think Weatherby was pleading that BYU committed offensive pass interference on that play.
Either way, third down, 2 yards to go. Ball's on the 33-yard line. Single setback is Willis. And to give to Willis, and he is met hard by number 91, Dave Balls. Dropped for a loss. Dave Balls found the penetration and put the end to the Cougar drive. Lost a couple on the play.
Now, Dave Balls is not a big guy at about 250 pounds. There you see shedding a block from either Pilgrim or Herring, and they're huge guys in comparison to him. He did a nice job to shed the block and make the stop and force the punt.
This is a look at Alan Boardman, number 8, the punter for BYU. He's number 8 in the nation in punting. 43, nearly 44 yards a punt.
Well, James Dye is 16th in the nation in punt returns, so we got a pretty good match here, and it's a low punt.
Dye will probably let this roll out of bounds, and he does about the 27-yard line. That was a quick offensive outing for BYU, what they term 3 and out. We've got 18 seconds left here in the first quarter. Utah State takes the field here. There's a look at the Aggie mascot. Let's look at Lavelle Edwards, the son returning to Logan, Utah. Calvillo looking and going deep up the middle to Mike Lee and underthrows him. Just threw it right a little bit low and behind him. Called low and outside. Patrick Mitchell with coverage, as well as Corey Cook was around there as well.
Lee was the slot man to the left. He was set inside of the Jenkins. Here's Calvillo going to the closest of the receivers. Jenkins is cleared to the outside apparently, and there's Lee on the tail end of it. And again, he was bracketed. One guy behind him, one guy in front of him.
Could have been tipped at the last moment as well. Second down, 10 yards to go. 12 seconds left in the first quarter. Man down on the left side. Lee at the top of your screen. Calvillo dropping back deep and throws mid-size over to Mike Lee. He gets about the 39-yard line. First down, brought down by Jackson Mooney, number 3.
At that time, the wide man was Alexander. He just sprinted for the end zone. Lee cuts down and over the middle. Calvillo's waiting for him to break off his pattern, and there he is. And he's hit immediately, but again, another catch and some good yardage, and that's the end of the quarter.
11-yard reception there to end the quarter, and we will take a break as the Aggies have moved out in front of BYU 10-7 here in the early going. Back in a moment, right after this.
There's a reason Larry H. Miller Honda sells more Hondas than anyone in Utah. Here's one. 94 Accords, just $13,231 or $199 a month. And a free cellular phone. Imagine. 94 Accords, just $199 a month at Larry H. Miller Honda. It's Larry H. Miller Toyota's backward sale. Backward sale. Prices on the new 94 Toyotas have gone up. But at Larry H. Miller Toyota, we're reversing that. Selling 94 Toyotas during October at $1993 prices. Only at Larry H. Miller Toyota.
Page Brake, Salt Lake City, Vernal, and St. George are brake and alignment specialists with complete parts and service for all vehicles from person movers to earth movers. Page Brake keeps trucks and trailers rolling safely with complete brake service. Page Brake keeps commuters commuting safely with properly maintained brake systems. Tourists touring, recreation rides operating with safe braking systems. Page Brake, complete brake service in Salt Lake City, Vernal, and St. George. Call Page Brake to cure your brake problem, large or small. We service them all.
Hello, I'm Mark Panalakis, president of International Luggage Center. I'd like to introduce you to a unique concept for your next luggage purchase.
International Luggage Center, known as experienced professionals, giving you quality service, factory direct discount prices, and huge selection. Now we go one step further. The free luggage challenge. We will beat any competitor's advertised price on any brand of luggage that we stock, or it's free. Get all the details at International Luggage Center, 328 South State, Salt Lake. Free store-side parking.
Performance horses demand performance feeds. SunPro Horse Feed will give them the energy they'll need to get that extra performance. So when your horse is being pushed to the limits, give it the best. Give it SunPro Performance Horse Feed. SunPro Feed is available at Intermountain Farmer Stores and select feed dealers.
We're back. The beginning of the second quarter. Utah State jumps out to a 10-7 lead. We'll take a look at one of the reasons why. Anthony Calvillo having a good day here early, 9 of 15, over 130 yards already, and a touchdown pass. He's got the ball 1st and 10 just inside the 40-yard line. That's to give to, and hit hard with James Dye. That was a punishing blow. I'm not sure who got there first, was it Randy Brock or Corey Cook? They both end in 7.
Again, the slot receiver, Mike Lee, was in this particular play serving as a blocker, trying to get a block on the outside as Dye starts to the outside. There's Davies, the left tackle, trying to clear the way, but he really had no blockers where he was going that time.
Let's look at Corey Cook. He's really come on in the last couple of games for BYU. Again, the give to Dye. He's got some room, creates some room with his speed, gets out to the 48-yard line, tackled by number 56, Travis Hall. Bring up a 3rd and about 2 yards to go.
Ryan Davies is playing left tackle now for the veteran Jason Mon. Trying to see if they've got any other second unit people in there, and he seems to be the only one right now. Just the only adjustment they made on the offensive line so far today.
Again, James Dye in the backfield. That's Mike Lee. And then Tony Jenkins, wide receiver to the left side. Dye moves up to the top of the screen. 3rd down, 2 yards to go. Calvillo, quick out to Mike Lee. He's got 1st down yardage and trying to create a little more. Squirms ahead to about the 42-yard line. Tackled again by Mitchell and Cook.
This time again leaves the slot man. The wide people are McMahon and Jenkins. They're just heading downfield to clear out that flat for Mike Lee, and again that gets him a little one-on-one as Calvillo's looking for him all the way, the shorter pass, as the wide receivers have headed down the field to give Lee some room, and now the DBs come up and make the stop.
Brings up 1st and 10. Ball's on the 43-yard line in Cougar territory. Again, James Dye, the single setback. 3 wide to the right side. Give to Dye. He moves around to the right side and unable to find any room. Randy Brock got there first. Greg Pitts was helping out. For BYU, Randy Brock. He was a freshman All-America after his first year with BYU.
Well, actually on the football news, he was a sophomore All-American, and they picked an all-sophomore team, so he's well regarded nationally.
Mentioned before out of Rexburg, Idaho, he was the Defensive Player of the Year there at Madison High School. 2nd down, 11 yards to go, about a 1-yard loss on that last play. Again, that's Dye in the backfield. Calvillo fakes the Dye, and going up the middle and aiming for Cody McMahon. He was being well covered his entire trip down, and that was Corey Cook covering him.
Nothing fancy about that, Carlton. It was McMahon there on your screen just sprinting for the post, and they were looking for him all the way. And Calvillo really airs this one out, but the coverage was good. Cook was right there.
Looks like there could have been a deflection as the ball left Calvillo's hands. The ball did look a little bit like a wounded duck in the air. 3rd down, 11 yards to go. Ball still on the 44-yard line. Calvillo's got some room up the middle, and he's going to take it. He'll get the 1st down yardage and a little bit more as he gets to the 26-yard line. There's some of the versatility of Calvillo paying off for the Aggies.
Well, here's one for you. The Aggies last year, of course, moved the ball quite well, but didn't score touchdowns. Here's Calvillo. Calvillo, as you watch him run against BYU, is the only guy returning on the Utah State team that carried the ball on a rushing play in last year's game. Everybody else is gone. And he is not a bad running quarterback, as you can tell.
17 yards on that play. Puts him first down. 10 yards to go. Ball's on the 26-yard line. And at tight end, we've got number 86, Xavier Foreman. James Dye on the counter play, looking for some room and just can't elude the grasp with number 56, Travis Hall. Lenny Gomes in on the play as well.
Well, that wasn't Rich Tilsky's fault. He took Randy Brock completely out of that play. Tilsky is the Aggie guard, the senior from San Diego. This is a veteran offensive line that Utah State throws against BYU today, but these are not new guys on the other side of the line with Gomes and Brock, and Travis Hall's played a lot, and Greg Pitts too.
Second down, 8 yards to go. That's Profel Greer in the backfield, and the ball's batted away at the line of scrimmage. Ball's harmlessly incomplete. Lenny Gomes got the big paw on it there.
McMahon was his man. He was the guy Calvillo was throwing to out on the flat to the right side. A medium route and a short drop, and Anthony couldn't get it there because of the deflection by Gomes.
Lenny, the 2-year letterman in Santa Rosa, California. 11 minutes, 31 seconds left here in the first half. Third down, 8 yards to go. Ball's on the 24-yard line. Calvillo back and looking deep. He's going for Mike Lee. Incomplete. The ball drops loose. Lee looks a little upset, but he's not arguing too heavily. That was Frank Christensen with coverage.
As is always the case now, Lee is the slot man, and the wide guy was Jenkins on the play. At the sideline, he cut down and toward the goal line, and Lee went down and out. And that you saw the end of the play, and the ball is out of bounds. There's Calvillo thrown to the sideline. Lee's running toward the end zone at this point. And there's the end of the play, and didn't have control of it, apparently, before he went out of bounds.
The ball was right there. Now, this will be the longest attempt, or if it's good, it'll be the longest kick of Nate Moriali's career here this year, and it is. With about a 41, maybe 42-yard field goal for Nathan Moriali. Freshman out of Irvine, California, as he takes Utah State up to a 6-point lead, 13-7. Back in a moment, right after this.
There's just one place you can get a Corvette, a Suburban, a Geo Metro, and America's most reliable pickups, your Rocky Mountain Chevy Geo dealer. Right now, you can lease a 4-door S-Blazer 4x4 with just $1,260 down for only $299 a month for a short 24 months. Get the ride and features of a car, all-wheel anti-lock brakes for safety, and 4-wheel drive shift on the fly Instatrack. Lease your new 94 Chevy S-Blazer now for only $299 a month for a short 24 months at your Rocky Mountain Chevy Geo dealer.
The Master Jeweler offers Utah's largest selection of diamonds and fine jewelry. Treat someone special with uniquely designed, beautifully handcrafted jewelry from the Master Jeweler, where quality is affordable. The Master Jeweler in Crossroads Plaza and now in Union Park Center.
The Utah Computer and Business Show. New exhibits, new ideas. Thousands of office automation products on display, many with live demonstrations. November 2nd and 3rd at the Salt Palace.
We're back in Logan. Utah State has jumped out 13-7 over their in-state rivals, BYU.
Carlton, let's take another look from the end zone at that play. Aggies are maintaining that might have been a touchdown. At the end of it, here's Lee catching it. A foot is down. He seems to be controlling it until he hits the ground. And once the ball crosses the goal line, they've told me that if you're in control, it's an automatic touchdown. Now, he dropped it later as he fell out of bounds.
Very interesting. We'll see how that will come back to haunt. In the meantime, the ball died in the end zone for a touchback. Cougars take over 1st and 10. So look at the scoring drive there. Moriali with a 42-yard field goal. That's his longest of the year.
Remember the key run by Calvillo that gave him a first down, and 2 nice catches by Lee earlier than that.
Again, John Walsh out of the shotgun. Next to him is Jamal Willis.
He throws it. It's almost intercepted. Jermaine Younger had it right in both hands.
Threw it right where he was most vulnerable in the numbers. He'll be seeing that one in his sleep tonight.
Well, it was Dredge in a tight slot and a short drop by Walsh, and that meant that Dredge was covered one-on-one by the linebacker Younger. And Jermaine blew a real opportunity to return a pass here. Dredge in the short route, and there's Jermaine making what he thought was a catch, but he couldn't. So he got kind of handcuffed on it, is what he did.
He had an interception last week. There's a look at Jermaine. He was right up there for Big West Player of the Year. We've got some movement on the line here. Whistles and flags everywhere. Just like a parade. Every official with the flag through them.
On the offense.
False start.
Still second down.
Move the Cougars back another 5 yards. 2nd and 15. Look at Coach Weatherby. He was really enthusiastic coming into this game. When the team was entering the field, he was giving high fives and cheering the team on. 2nd down 15. Walsh out of the shotgun. Looks and finds Eric Drage. Picks up right at about 15 yards. He might be, it looks like where the lineman's going to score it.
Dredge is a little slow getting up, Carlton. He's whipped his helmet off and he might be hurt. Donald Toomer and Younger there combined. Let's look at it again as Walsh takes the snap in the shotgun. He was looking maybe a little deeper, but he goes to Dredge at about the 20. And then Gary Brown's closing in. But it's Younger and Toomer that actually combined on the stop. They hit him pretty hard.
It's pretty punishing. There's his first catch of the game. He's 15-yarder, a nice 15-yarder. He's the career record holder at BYU, both in yards. He's got just over 3,000 with 3,024. He's 6th in the NCAA in receptions a game. He's getting 7 catches a game. And he's also got the BYU touchdown record.
Well, the Aggie goal defensively here was to not let him get away. In other words, he's going to get his catches. Let's keep him to a minimum yardage-wise because he's a big yardage guy. The other thing was to try to slow down the run. It was a two-pronged defensive plan from the Aggies.
We'll take a break right now. Just under 11 minutes left here in the first half. Utah State out in front, 13-7. Back in a moment right after this.
Imagine a spectacular deck or gazebo custom built to add to the beauty of your home. If you've always thought that someday it would be nice to have a new deck, gazebo, sunroom, or a beautiful caldera spa, at Deckett, someday is today. Deckett, Utah's largest and best deck builder, reminds you that fall is a great time to have a deck built. They use deck savers, which work to double the life of your deck. Build your deck now and take advantage of current wood prices, which are sure to go up next year. Call Deckett today for a free appraisal.
At Cypress Credit Union, we believe you should have fun.
To me, this is fun. To them, I'm worth a loan.
And we believe in helping you get ahead.
They pre-approved my loan before I started shopping.
With a quick response, usually within a day.
We've gotten our loans from them for years.
They know us and can tailor a payment plan that fits our needs.
Cypress Credit Union. We'll show you a better way.
10 minutes, 59 seconds. We're going to take a look at that hit right here. And you see the head just get knocked from one side to the other. The crowd you hear behind us is cheering as Drage is walking off. He's being assisted, and now he's going to do it on his own. But that was a blow. That's we don't know. It could be a shoulder. It could be what they call a stinger, where it's kind of a whiplash motion, generally from the side to side, as kind of does a little bit of a nerve strain there.
Yeah, from the angle that Younger came in, it could very well be a shoulder nerve type thing. That is those stingers you've been talking about have really sort of felled the BYU defense with Herget and now Ted Dawson this week in practice. There's another look at it here.
Well, the clock is ticking again, and Walsh plunges ahead for the first down yardage. He'll take it himself, gets about a yard on the play, brings up 1st and 10 as they get to the 31-yard line. Let's look at Walsh's numbers early on, 135 yards. Impressive. If you take last week's stats when he came in 2 minutes before the end of the half, if you prorated those stats out through the course of an entire game, he had to have 900 yards and 10 touchdown passes against Fresno State last week.
Well, I've never seen anything like it. I saw him come in with 2 minutes left and a half and saw some amazing stuff the rest of the game.
Impressive display of the talent there. He fakes to Willis and throws up the middle to a wide open Terrence Salioni. He gets to midfield, falls forward to about the 49-yard line, tackled by both Damon Smith and Michael Coe.
Now, the Cougars have been using a lot of two tight ends, and I'm not sure if this time that was the case. Salioni is the tight end, and he starts out right here. And then the defensive back, and in this case, I think it's, in fact, he got by the linebacker, and Brown is cleared right out of the play. Brown, the linebacker, went this way. Salioni's going this way and makes the catch. But Brown got lost because it went with a wideout to the other side of the field.
Ends up being a 20-yard gain for Salioni. Provo, Utah. Walsh back to pass again. Looks and finds Chad Knowles, but Knowles lets it go right behind him. I think he heard footsteps on that one. That was Damon Smith with the big loud feet that time. Chad Knowles is a sophomore. He's out of Sandy, Utah. Played his high school ball at Alta High School.
This is Walsh dropping back again. Has some time, as he's had a lot today, really. And a nice blow delivered immediately there by Damon Smith, number 5.
Second down, 10 yards to go. Walsh again out of the shotgun. Knowles and Willis next to him, providing pass blocking coverage, and right up the middle for a gain of about 7 yards. Again, complete to the tight end, Salioni.
That was one of those times where it appeared that the Aggies were bringing both linebackers. Now, I just mentioned Gary Brown. He's starting today in place of Bobby Singer is hurt. Brown's been on the shelf a little bit this year, but he and Younger are the inside linebackers, and it looked like they were both coming on Walsh on that play.
Third down, 4 yards to go. The crowd really encouraging the Utah State defense to hold them on this drive up the middle and nothing doing. No gain. Pratt Lyons, that ball was loose. Pratt Lyons fell on the ball, and it's a turnover. Utah State takes over. With his second of the game and a big turnover, coming at a big time in the game here for Utah State.
Well, Toomer had the interception, and now Lyons' second fumble recovery. It was more like a steal, really. I didn't see the ball pop out, but in any event, Utah State's defense has stopped the Cougars and gets it back with a little over 9 minutes left in the half.
BYU will look back at the first half stats and see those 3 turnovers, and that has what has allowed the Utah State to get into this game and get the lead going. First and 10, balls at the 42-yard line. Calvillo back, looking and firing deep. He's going for Kevin Alexander. Double covered, and that was actually ended up being closer to number 17, Corey Cook.
Again, Mitchell and Cook bracketing number 4, Alexander, who is on a dead sprint to the end zone. Here's Calvillo, and they're not thinking about anything else other than going along to one of the speediest guys on the team, number 4, but the coverage is there. Well done that time by the Cougars.
Mitchell and Cook with coverage. Now, Kevin Alexander is not slow by any means. He's a sprint champion out of California, 100-meter sprint champ in high school. Calvillo was 4 out of the last 13 attempts. Greer up the middle, gain of about 3, stopped by Travis Hall. And there's a late flag. Take a look and see what happened there. Greer looked to be involved.
Nice block on the play by Utah State's number 79, Ernie Howren.
Close to a late hit. I think that might have been what Greer was a little upset about, as he tackled the guy who tackled him.
Yeah, he and Travis Hall got into it there a little bit.
They do call the penalty on Greer. That's a 15-yard personal foul. Scores in Salt Lake City, Utah 7, San Diego State 7. That's a second quarter score. Henry Lusk had an interception in the end zone, stopping the San Diego State drive. Got just over 9 minutes left here, just under now. 9 minutes left here in the first half of our game. Early in the second quarter, Notre Dame and Navy are tied up at 10 each. Third down, 23 yards to go. Ball's on the 30-yard line. Utah State.
Thompson is set out wide to the right as a wideout, not a tight end.
End up with 4 receivers on the left side, and they go to the right side. And that's Thompson. He just eludes some tacklers. And finally brought down by Lenny Gomes. Just muscle through those guys.
Well, that's a special play set up for this game by the Aggies. They've got 3 wide receivers to the left, and their tight end is flexed to the right, and Calvillo's going to him all the way. Here's Thompson coming back along the line of scrimmage and makes the catch, and he's off to the races. He's the featured receiver today for the Aggies.
They have gone to him frequently, and they've been successful doing it. However, they weren't as successful as they wanted to be. It's 4th down, 13. Ball's on the 40, and we'll bring in Micah Knorr to punt for the Aggies. And the ball takes a Cougar bounce. Aggies are trying to fall on it somewhere to get to the 40-yard line.
That time BYU had Matsuzaki back as the punt return man. They've used Dredge, who's out of the game right now, and Mike Johnston a little bit in those positions.
7 minutes, 48 seconds left here in the first half. You're watching Aggie football on KJazz 14.
Of course you don't sell more cars or trucks than anyone else without giving great deals. But you know, and at Gene Harvey Chevrolet Geo, we know there's more to it than that. Since 1957, we've been here with award-winning service and the Gene Harvey neighborly way of doing business. Folks around here have always known that if it has our name on it, you have our word on it.
We'll be your first choice for many reasons. Gene Harvey Chevrolet Geo.
An American Ford.
One of the reasons I like Movie Bus is that they have plenty of copies of the new releases, so you can see the new movies right after release. Movie Bus have a huge variety to select from, and they get up to 50 new titles monthly and top hits by the hundreds. Get an unrestricted rental pass and rent one, anyone, and get another one free. The standard 2-day rental includes new releases at Movie Bus. Open 24 hours a day. Free memberships, and most kids' movies are a 25-cent rental. There's a Movie Bus near you.
Back in Logan, Utah, Utah State still hanging on to a 6-point lead. Carlton Wing here along with Craig Hislop. John Walsh, the ball is loose. Walsh trying to, it's still loose, and Salioni finally falls on it. That's a huge loss of about 12 yards on the play. Ball was loose, misdirection on the handoff, trying to get the ball to Willis.
Well, he and Scott Moala went for it at the same time, and they got there at about the same time, and that made it squirt away, and that allowed Salioni to get on it. This is kind of a casual handoff here, really. Willis didn't turn around very quickly. I guess he thought he had the ball.
You don't want to go head-to-head with guys like Moala either when you're diving for a loose ball. All right, brings up 2nd down, 21 yards to go. Again, Walsh being chased out. Hit all over. He's lucky to hang on the ball there. It was Pratt and Lyons providing the most pressure there on Mr. Walsh, who's having a rough time the last 2 plays.
Of all the wonderful things this guy does as a quarterback, he is not very mobile, and you see it right here. The Aggies pressure him, and finally, he can't escape. Jim Sweeney calls it the escapability factor, and Walsh, who's a great thrower, will probably improve on that over his career. He's not real good at it right now, trying to get away from a rush.
That weakness probably was really highlighted at UCLA when he was sacked 10 times, and overall, Cougars were sacked 12 times that game. The blitzing backs from UCLA hurt them, and that's what Utah State hopes to capitalize on today. Out of the gun. Walsh throwing deep and wide open is number 25, Christensen, who takes a punishing blow and stops him from the first down. That was Michael Coe. A key hit stops him about 1 yard shy of the first down marker. Had he not hit him the way he did, he would have fallen forward and gotten the first down.
It's interesting to watch the BYU passing game. Most of the time, they're running a lot of diagonal routes and stretching the field from sideline to sideline. They went right down the field that time, which is more or less the way the Aggies like to attack it on the passing mode. Now they're going to measure here after that great play at the end of the catch to see if he got the first down, and he did.
They moved the mark up a little bit. Michael Coe, you saw him on the screen there a little bit ago. He's 2nd team All-Big West. Very impressive open field tackle there. 1st and 10. Ball is just shy of midfield on the BYU side of midfield. We've got just 6 minutes and counting left here in the first half. Walsh again out of the shotgun. Movement on the line, whistles blowing. There's a flag, there's another.
Thought I saw the tight end Chad Lewis moving. He's number 96. He was set to the right of that formation.
Dead ball. False start on the offense.
False start. Now BYU has already been penalized 67 times coming into this game. Nearly 650 yards they've lost. There's a look.
Right, well, that was bad artwork that time, but it's the center that moved. I was trying to circle the center in this picture here. Also, the right tackle moves a little bit. I think I'm a little bit off on my positioning of my telestrator. You get the idea.
I'm gonna check your grades in art class.
It was Ron Simmons.
There's Walsh looking and fire. Well, he underthrew that one by a margin, and the flags were flying again. Oh, when BYU goes back to the locker room at halftime, they're going to look at the turnovers and they're going to look at the penalties here as just stopping these drives and really making it very, very difficult for BYU to drive the ball down the field.
Holding.
There's a look at holding.
10 yards.
It's a major back to the 30-yard line. So the Cougars are going in the wrong direction. To get a first down, they are going to have to get to Utah State's 40-yard line. And we've seen this before against Utah State. On the lower right of your screen, see if you can see that. Possibly the right guard grabbing hold of one of the Aggie rushers. I think it was Balls that was tied up by the right guard, Evan Pilgrim, on that play.
Big play here. First down, 28 yards to go. Walsh is trying to look deep, but can't find anybody deep. And then looks like he does find. No, he's being waved off. The ball did hit the ground. Incomplete pass. He was trying to find Chad Lewis, the tight end.
Well, there's Walsh's throw. It's low. Lewis can't get to it, and immediately the Aggie sideline, about 55 referees on the sideline all calling it off.
And we do have an injury report for Eric Drage. He has broken a rib. That has got to be a big loss for BYU. They do have lots of offensive weapons to choose from, but Eric Drage was that leader there with the receiving corps.
Well, on top of the defensive injuries they've had, they've been really hurt now.
Second down, 28 to go. Following the incomplete pass, again out of the shotgun. Walsh looks and finds Tyler Anderson. Now, if he can break loose, he is fast. He gets to the 45-yard line, 5 yards short of the first down. Tyrone Trimble finally brings him down. That's a big gain there for the Cougars.
He was the wide man to the left, and they had, I think, Nowatzki to the right. He just looked in, and a quick toss by Walsh. There's Anderson.
Anderson got a 25-yard gain on that play, brings up 3rd and 5, and that's a little bit more manageable than the field position the Cougs were having to deal with a little while ago.
On the replay there, you see quite a cushion provided by the Aggie defensive backs. Anderson, who is very fast, had plenty of room to run.
Yeah, it looks like if he had another stride or two, he could have broken it wide open. 3rd down, 5 yards to go. Crowd getting into it again. More movement, more flags, more whistles. More players just kind of standing around, trying to figure out what's going on. Another penalty.
Dead ball. False start.
Official
on the offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Brings up 3rd down, 10 yards to go.
Well, the right tackle, the left guard, the left tackle. Actually, only Simmons and Pilgrim stayed put. Everybody else was moving on the play. Somebody didn't get the right signal.
Brings up 3rd and 10. Penalties are putting the Cougars in precarious positions here in the early going. Walsh looking deep, trying to find Matsuzaki, and he does. He could break it. He gets stumbled and drops down at about the 2.5-yard line. That was Travis Scow with a shoestring tackle just to throw off a little bit of balance of Matsuzaki. Needless to say, big first down play.
Well, he's the wide man to the left. They had a wide out to the right. I think they took Christensen out of the backfield, although we don't see him, because it looks like Walsh is going to the long man, the deep man all the way. Well done between Toomer and Scow.
Big 47-yard completion.
There is Scow. To the right of your screen. We can't see the wide receiver just yet. But there's Matsuzaki at the end of the play.
261 yards passing in the early going here for John Walsh. He pitches back to Jamal Willis, trying to find an opening, and he's got one. Goes in unopposed, touchdown BYU.
Well, he dodged an oncoming Michael Coe, number 21, in a nice athletic move to create himself more time and more room for the touchdown.
that seems to follow the script. Let's take a look at the play here.
Here he steps right inside of Cole and back to the outside as the blocking developed for him. And, well, that was a nicely conceived one, and it looks like most people did their jobs on the blocks.
We take a look at Joe Herrick here getting ready to take the extra point attempt. Nowatzki holding. The kick is up and good. And it's good. BYU takes a 1-point lead with 4 minutes, just over 4 minutes left here in the first half. Flags are waving proudly. BYU 14, Utah State 13. Back in a moment right after this.
During Subaru's Rocktober savings celebration, you'll see all-wheel drive Legacy and savings up to $3,000. But Larry H. Miller Subaru is increasing the discounts to $4,500 on all-wheel drive Legacy at Larry H. Miller Subaru. What could be better than a previously owned 1992 Geo Metro fully loaded for just $62.88? Answer. 25 loaded Geo Metros for $62.88. What about a loaded custom van for $1,000 under our lowest price of the year? This weekend at Larry H. Miller Chevrolet Geo.
Back in Logan, Utah, BYU jumps back, takes the lead by 1 point here with just over 4 minutes left in the first half. James Dye back deep for Utah State to receive the kick from Joe Herrick. Kick is up, held up a little by Wynn. Dye takes it to about the 5-yard line. He's got an opening, and it closed up by the time he got there. About the 22-yard line is where he is dropped. Again, that was John Pollock with the stop for BYU. Take a look at the scoring drive there. Willis, 3-yard touchdown rush. That is his 4th touchdown of the season.
And again, a key play, the big pass to Matsuzaki down that sideline in front of the Aggie bench was the one that kept that one going for BYU.
Kind of follows the script of Utah State. They'll stop him and stop him and stop him and then give up the big play and keep that drive alive. 3 minutes, 59 seconds left. 1st and 10. Ball at the 22-yard line. Calvillo looked like he tried to hand it off and was unable to do so, trying to work as many yards as he can out of it, and he'll probably get about 2 or 3 feet. Lenny Gomes chasing down the quarterback. Looked like he was ready to hand the ball off when the running back was about 2 yards ahead.
Cougars really did a good job stringing that one out to the sideline, and after the initial confusion on the handoff or expected handoff.
2nd down, 8 yards to go. In the backfield, that's Dye, and they give to Dye around the right side. He's being pursued well. That's Randy Brock. In and chasing him down to the other sideline. Also, John Pollock in on that, number 27 of BYU. 3 minutes, 9 seconds and counting. Look at James Dye. That's what, about a 2-yard average there. 6 rushes, 12 yards.
Dye's best game this year was the 112 yards he had against Fresno State, but that was 2 or 3 games ago, and he missed last week because he was injured.
In the backfield now is the Big West Offensive Player of the Week, the reigning Player of the Week. That's Profel Greer as Calvillo finds some pressure and eludes it. And he plunges ahead for 1st down yardage. What a courageous dive there at the end. He had 2 players diving for him. It's oftentimes when people can get injured.
He was literally in what the NFL calls in the grasp. Travis Hall, who's playing linebacker and defensive end, depending on what situation, comes in here from the left 56. You see him, and then he collides with his own man, and Calvillo has a chance to take off after that collision wipes out both the Cougars.
Makes the 1st down yardage. 2 minutes, 25 seconds left in the first half. 1st and 10, ball's on the 34-yard line. Calvillo back looking over the middle, and Mike Lee just simply let that ball go past him.
As it turns out, Carlton, Utah State's running game right now is Anthony Calvillo on these plays that he creates after he can't get rid of the ball on passes. I think he's got 26 yards to lead the Aggies in rushing right now.
Second down, 10 yards to go. There's a look at Charlie Weatherby, 7-11 here in his second year at Utah State.
The 30 points that his team allowed BYU last year is the fewest in the series in this 10-game streak that BYU's got going.
Calvillo back and firing again to Lee. This time he does get a hand on it, but is unable to control the ball. And it falls loose. Incomplete pass brings up 3rd and 10.
This is Lee. Now, again, 2 wideouts are headed downfield, so he's man on man, but the ball is not where it's completely catchable. We've seen one-handed catches this year. Seemed like most of them were made by Nevada Reno against the Aggies, but it wasn't in the books that time, as both, I think, Alexander and Jenkins had headed downfield to give Lee the one-on-one opportunity.
Willis picked up one of those one-hand snags for BYU on the other side of the ball. 3rd down, 10 yards to go. Calvillo back, flushed out of the pocket. Kevin Alexander complete for first down yardage. 48-yard line before he's knocked down. Jack DeMooney with a stop. They move it up to the 49-yard line, counting as forward progress. It's a 15-yard pass from Calvillo to Alexander. Kevin also has a twin brother playing on the other side of the ball, Corey Alexander.
Watch the replay. DeMooney and Mitchell there close. Patrick Mitchell ready to back up, but again, they had bracketed the wideout Alexander on that one.
1st and 10 inside of 2 minutes. They give to Greer around the left side. Squirms his way and finds about 7 yards out of that. That's nice 2nd, 3rd, and 4th efforts there by Profel Greer. DeMooney and Brock finally tackling. 2nd down, 3 yards to go. Looks like we've got a timeout on the play. Utah State takes a timeout. Profel Greer coming off that 209-yard rushing performance at UNLV last week.
Well, actually, Profel the week before that here had 115 yards in that battle for Nevada for basically what a lot of people think will be the conference championship. And the last couple of weeks, he's run well, over 300 yards and actually 6 touchdowns the last 2 games.
In fact, in one of those games, he had the opportunity to tie the record for most touchdowns in a game. He had 4. Gave the ball to him 3 times in a row at the 4-yard line and was unable to do so.
That's a record held by Jack Hill, who BYU fans and Utah State fans alike will remember from the late 50s. Jack went on to play for the Denver Broncos for a while. Was a great running back at Utah State.
I understand in Salt Lake City, the score is still 7-7 in the 2nd quarter. Utah missed a 33-yard field goal. So they've got a tight one there as well. And we've got a tight one here. It's not too surprising that the game is this close. The traditional rivalry, at least here in the last 10 years, would dictate that it would be a blowout by this point, but not so. BYU is coming in, has come in stumbling a little bit. There's a look at Coach Edwards there. 195 wins. He needs 1 more, and he'll tie. Hurry up Yost for the next spot on the most wins list. There's Calvillo flushed out of the pocket, and no one is close. It looked like the intended receiver, Mike Lee, cut inside when he was supposed to cut outside. Greg Pitts providing coverage on Calvillo.
That's, again, that formation that they call trips open, where they've got 3 wide receivers to the right, and they have taken the tight end, especially for this game, Aubrey Thompson, and set him all alone as a flexed receiver to the left, and then go to the 3 wideouts that time. But they've been going to Aubrey earlier in the game.
McMahon, Alexander, and Lee are all on the top of your screen. On the right side, he finds Mike Lee. He's got first down yardage, gets to the 35, working his way for some more, and gets to about the 25-yard line before he's knocked out of bounds. Extra effort there got him about another 8 or 9 yards, 19-yard pass play.
And again, McMahon and Alexander cleared downfield, and Lee's got room. It's Pollock that finally takes a shot at him and misses, and then he's run out of bounds over there by Vic Tarleton.
1st and 10, balls at the 25-yard line. 1 minute, 15 seconds left in the half. Calvillo back, looking. Again, flushed out of the pocket, eludes the tacklers, moves ahead. He's got about 8 or 9 yards out of that play. Gee whiz, who needs running backs if you've got Calvillo there? You see the clock winding its way down.
Obviously, nobody open. Calvillo looked and had some time, and then goes into the dimension of his game that BYU may not have going right now for them, and that is the ability to scramble and run. And he continues to be their leading rusher today in this game.
And Utah State takes another timeout. We've got 48 seconds left here in the first half as BYU defense is coming to the sidelines to talk it over. We'll take a break as well. Aggies still down by 1 point with 48 seconds left in the first half. Back in a moment right after this.
Let's get jazzed. You're gonna see some real excitement. Oh. It's waiting here just for your eyes. Good times to share together. Change your rhythm, you're gonna love the action. Cajuns 14's new tradition. Let's get down.
48 seconds left here in the first half. Utah State down by a point.
Aggies have been doing something today that they've done fairly well all year. They're converting on third down. They are 8 of 12 on third down conversions. BYU is 3 of 6.
Calvillo asking for some quiet so he can bark out his orders. He's facing a second down and 1 yard to go. Greer gets that yard and a little bit more. Knocked down at about the 10-yard line. First and 10. Randy Brock finally tackles him.
Again, that formation spreading the field. The tight end wide to the left, the 3 receivers wide to the right, and it kind of stretches the wide defense just a little bit.
The clock held until they got the chains moved, and Calvillo downs the ball. A little bit of extracurricular activity you saw there. Clock is stopped with 36 seconds on what is technically an incomplete pass from Anthony Calvillo.
Well, this is one of those situations where the Aggies want desperately to take a touchdown into the locker room. You never know how that will affect it. And this could be a wild second half for all we know offensively, but we remember what happened at LSU when they didn't convert going into the locker room, and it seemed to take something out of Utah State.
They went in down 16-10, and they just did not come back in the third quarter. Second down. 9 yards to the goal. Calvillo looking. He'll take a couple of them himself. Stops the clock by getting out of bounds. Lenny Gomes forced him there. About a 2-yard gain. Officials are calling time. It almost looks like a player has lost a contact or something. At least he's looking at the ground. Maybe he's just hurt.
Well, that was
the top of your screen.
Yeah, that's Gomes over there who chased Calvillo out of bounds, and then they went rolling out onto the blacktop together. And that can be a little hard on your body, even if you do weigh 270 pounds.
The brotherhood of college football. 30 seconds left here in the first half.
BYU will bring in Scott Sarala at the nose guard position for Gomes. There's Gomes making the stop. Then he rolls out of bounds with Calvillo, lands on the blacktop, and has an as yet undisclosed injury. But he's left the game, and as I said, Sarala, the 270-pound junior from Kerrville, Texas, a highly recruited defensive lineman, is on the field for Gomes at nose guard.
Set to take the snap. Third down. And goal at the 8-yard line. Calvillo. James Dye in the backfield. He moves in motion. Brings 3 wide receivers to the right side. Calvillo back and looking. Fires up the middle. Touchdown, Utah State. Mike Lee. Found the opening he was looking for. An 8-yard touchdown pass. Calvillo to Lee. As Lee grabs his 3rd touchdown reception.
He was the tighter man in the slot and came across the middle. Everybody else in that formation went to the sideline, receivers anyway, and he was just one-on-one out there and beat Christensen to the ball.
And so that will affect the morale in a very positive way in the halftime locker room for Utah State, as they do get in there in the blue zone. The kick is up and good from Nate Moriali. So the Aggies jump out to a 6-point lead here with less than half a minute remaining in the first half. And you see the shot from our camera above the south end zone. Utah State 20, Brigham Young 14. And that was a nice drive for the Utah State offense, a morale-building drive.
Aggies have now thrown for 194 yards in this game, 70 yards on the ground. BYU 261 yards throwing, but they're in arrears running the ball, a -1. So I don't think you could say yet they've established their running game.
That's true, and they've been trying to stick with it. But -1 for a halftime stat on your rushing column is going to drastically affect your effectiveness on the passing column as well.
Although their most recent touchdown was a short Willis touchdown run to give them the 14-13 lead, but really the key play in that drive, just previous to this Utah State scoring drive, was the long pass to Matt Suzuki down the sideline in front of Utah State's student body.
Set to kick it off, back deep for BYU, number 42, Tim Nowatzki, and in the close side of your screen, that's number 4, Tyler Anderson. Both of them very capable of breaking it open. They kick it on the ground. It'll be picked up and taken to about the 33-yard line.
That was Rob Morris, who's a backup running back and plays a lot of the special teams for BYU, and he fielded it after a little bit of trouble, but made a little gain out of it.
Well, John Walsh will come in with the 22-second drill here at the end of the half. Take a look at the scoring drive there. 14 plays on that drive. Capped off by that touchdown pass with 78 yards and ate up a little bit of time when they didn't have that much more to spare. John Walsh out of the shotgun, 1st and 10. Puts it back, looks and finds Micah Matsuzaki, gets to about the 39-yard line, but does not get out of bounds. The clock will still roll until a timeout is called, which one is. It's Tyrone Trimble with the stop. Stops the clock with 13 seconds left here in the first half. About a 6-yard, 7-yard pickup. Matsuzaki was all everything in the state of Hawaii. As we take a look at the play again. Matsuzaki trying to get out of bounds at this point to stop the clock so they don't have to use the timeout. But Tyrone was all over him. Kept him from getting there. Matsuzaki's the 3-year letterman. He redshirted last year. The players call him Mouse. I'm not exactly sure why.
He's the wideout. Now, right there, he just stood his ground, made the catch, and then went to the sideline. His goal is to get out of bounds and keep the clock stopped, and when he didn't, they had to use a timeout. He took about 2 steps down the field, turned to face his quarterback, Walsh, and made the catch.
Both teams have 1 timeout remaining here in this half with 13 seconds left. Could come into play. Cougars approach the ball here. The ball's on the 39-yard line, their own 39-yard line, facing a 2nd and 4 situation. Again, Walsh out of the shotgun. Looking and finds Jamal Willis, gets to the first down yardage and steps out of bounds at about the 46-yard line. Stops the clock with 8 seconds remaining here in the first half.
Again, sending the receivers on sprints down the field and then clearing Willis out for the short play. That's about the only way you're going to eat up enough time to get even close. A stretched out pass down the field could have taken most of the time on that play.
Got 8 seconds left, and with the timeout, feasibly they possibly could get to within field goal range, but they might just have to go all the way for the end zone here. 1st and 10, ball's on the 47-yard line. Walsh again, looking, throws deep, and throws into coverage, intercepted by number 5, Damon Smith. Not that drive with 1 second remaining in the first half. Damon Smith pulls down his 3rd interception of the season, and the first of this game. second interception this game on the side. And Walsh now tallies 7 interceptions on the season. Take a look at the turnovers again, and just adding to the toll that the coaches are going to be addressing.
Well, you compute that with the fact that Dredge is out and the defense is already hobbling with the linebacker problems.
With 1 second remaining here, we'll see Utah State just put the knee down and go into the locker room with a 6-point lead. Utah State 20, BYU 14. That's the end of the first half. We will kick it back to the studios in Salt Lake City with Steve Brown.
We'd like to compare the new 94 Nissan trucks with the 94 Toyota. Both give you the great outdoors, but with the Nissan Value Package, you get air conditioning, AM/FM cassette stereo, power mirrors, and a chrome package for over $1,600 less than the comparably equipped Toyota. So for $1,600 less, you not only get the great outdoors, you also get a great indoors. Nissan, it's time to expect more from a truck.
At Cypress Credit Union, we believe you should have fun.
To me, this is fun. To them, I'm worth a loan.
And we believe in helping you get ahead.
They pre-approved my loan before I started shopping.
With a quick response, usually within a day.
We've gotten our loans from them for years.
They know us and can tailor a payment plan that fits our needs.
Cypress Credit Union. We'll show you a better way.
Page Brake, Salt Lake City, Vernal, and St. George are brake and alignment specialists with complete parts and service for all vehicles from person movers to earth movers. Page Brake keeps trucks and trailers rolling safely with complete brake service. Page Brake keeps commuters commuting safely with properly maintained brake systems. Tourists touring, recreation rides operating with safe braking systems. Page Brake, complete brake service in Salt Lake City, Vernal, and St. George. Call Page Brake to cure your brake problem, large or small. We service them all.
The most exciting display of living room and family room furniture you've ever seen is just opened at Granite Furniture Company. It's the new Guildcraft Gallery, featuring hot new sofas, love seats, chairs, ottomans, and tables from Guildcraft of California. Lifetime construction warranties, beautiful covers, styles from contemporary to Southwest to traditional, with grand opening prices that will save you hundreds of dollars.
If you're updating your home, come see the new Guildcraft Gallery exclusively at Granite Furniture.
Cornell. Back in Logan, Utah, Utah State 20, Brigham Young University 14. Surprising to some, not really to the rest of us, however. And joining us here at halftime is a guest head coach at Utah State University.
Larry Eustace is the new basketball coach at Utah State, and last night I thought about halfway through the Midnight Madness, Larry, you're ready to go home because I knew you had a practice this morning. How did that go? You had a great crowd at the Aggie Midnight Madness last night.
Well, I thought so, and I'd like to thank our administration for putting it together. You know, the change of date, we had planned on having it on originally, and then it fell on a Sunday, and we decided not to do that, but then the NC2A changed the date back and only gave us about 6 or 7 days to prepare for it, but our Terry Bowlby and our administration did a great job of putting it together, and everything was fine until we had to play. And then when we played, we didn't look very good, but all the things going on before that were great.
Actually, we saw a few new faces. Now, this is not the same basketball team Utah State fielded a year ago. A lot of guards on this team, it seems like, Coach.
Well, I've had success in the past, particularly at Idaho, in not worrying about size, and I think it's true in every conference. Our philosophy is to get 1, 2, and 3 men. By that I mean guards and maybe a small forward that can compete with the best teams in the league. It's very difficult to get the true 7-footer. We have one now, and he may be the best, Nate, that we have in a long time. And I'm going to enjoy that while he's here, but our philosophy is going to be with more perimeter guys and go with a little more quickness and hopefully have some success.
Utah State is a basketball team with a 7-footer with Nate Wickizer, who is one of the veterans that's back. You've got a couple of other seniors. How did the first real practice go this morning when you got down to some real work and some technique?
Well, I've told everybody since I've been here that in order to change the performance of this team, we have to change the attitude. And we've worked awfully hard at doing that. You know, obviously there's some new players and some old players that it didn't work out with here. But I think the attitude has changed. We started in the weight room and carried over into our conditioning. And today was as good as practice as I've had as a head coach as far as listening, the attitude. Wish we had, you know, a little more depth. We're hurt. There's a couple players that are redshirting, and one in particular, Brian Rucker, who may not play all year. We'll know in about 3 weeks about his back. But with a little more depth and a little better talent, I think we could really have some success. But I think we'll do fine this year. It's going to take some time, and the people have to be patient.
Plus, you got Bob Boyd as a member of your staff, the great USC basketball coach. He had some fantastic teams there, and then he hired you at Mississippi State.
Well, it's kind of funny how things work out, but again, this was probably the most enjoyable practice I've had as a head coach, to have Coach Boyd there and see him back in the court, and he really enjoyed himself today. I'm not afraid to delegate a large part of the practice to him. We work well together, and it's going to be an enjoyable time with him here.
Thanks a lot for joining us, Coach. We're going to bring some of your games live on KJAZ this fall. We're looking forward to that. Now we're going to send it back to Salt Lake City. Steve Brown is waiting in the wings.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Whale of a ball game in the first half at Logan, Utah, where the Aggies of Utah State lead BYU by a 20-14 count. Big plays, turnovers, a major part of that first half. We'll show you the highlights in just a moment.